Welcome, everybody, to the American Space Museum. I'm Mark Marquette in a festive mode here, hoping that you want to stay curious with us today with Mr. Mitch Rothman. Mitch, welcome.
Good to see you again, Mark.
Great to see you. Mitch came up here from Lake Wales, down in the center of the state, sort of,
Yeah,
over by Kissimmee. And
yeah, about it's about a 2-hour drive to get here. I'm south and west of here.
Bach Tower, some of y'all that know that fabulous park there, just a
Yeah,
beautiful
beautiful.
facility. You're near there. That's cool. We've
Dressed
got
up for Christmas this time of year.
Yeah,
You don't want to
yeah.
miss that.
I'm supposed to do a stargaze there February 1st.
Yeah,
We have up there. So
let me
looking
know.
forward to that. I got my YouTube channel up here to hear all of you today. We've got what do we have here on our green screen, Mitch? What did Marty choose?
Looks like somebody is kicking back and getting ready to celebrate Hanukkah
Yeah.
on the space station.
So Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Festivus for the rest of us. If you're a
That's right.
Seinfeld fan, whatever you like. Marty, welcome on our UCX family microphone today. Good to see Marty. We've been very busy getting together a little Christmas party for our staff tonight. And sorry to be late. I was out putting a telescope out in the back parking lot there and didn't have a watch on. So Marty's yelling at me like my dad used to, saying, "Are you going to come in here?"
I didn't yell and say, "Hey, you gonna do a show today?"
That's right. Yeah, that's like my dad used to. He was gentle with his. But no, Marty, thank you for waking me up and getting me in here. Tommy UCX with us today. Dave Stangy, of course. Tom's in Pennsylvania. You've met him.
I haven't
Many...
met Tom yet.
Oh, yeah, met
I've
Tom.
met Mark, but I haven't met Tom
All
yet.
right. Well, I met Mitch through Chris Callie, renowned space artist. You and Chris become friends at Space Fest, I believe, in other
We
places.
met, yeah, I met Chris for the first time in Houston, the 50th anniversary of Apollo 16.
Okay.
Yeah, we closed the town that night. We went to Neil's Bar, right? Neil's Bar, play
Okay.
on words. And we had the Rocket Fuel, which was a pretty rich dark beer. Anyway, it was quite the evening.
Well, we're going to have fun talking with Mitch just about current events. He's involved in a bunch of projects with his Facebook page, Man Space. And you can get a little bit closer to the
Sure.
microphone there, Mitch. He's a big fan. He is Man Space that you all see, uh, chiming in and saying hello to you all. So now you put a face on the communication there. Tom Celentano says he looks forward to meeting you sometime. I believe Tom lives up in Connecticut, up
Yes.
there. We're going to have a potpourri of news, fun holiday stuff like this. Don McKay was a great NASA artist, and he did these whimsical postcards and drawings of aliens with Santa Claus after a poker game, or playing poker actually, and seeing a rocket go off there in the distance there. So we're gonna talk. I love that in the back you see he's got his long johns hanging up
Yeah.
there on the line and stuff like that. All kinds of little hidden, what artists call Easter eggs in these little
Yeah.
sketches by Don McKay, who passed away. He was a 1960s and 70s artist there. Uh, we want you to revisit yesterday's show, all-time longest show, right, Marty? Definitely, just under 2 hours. But you're going to hear stories, learn some things. Mitch, you watched it. Gary
I did,
Allgaier,
yeah.
very popular.
It's amazing. So, the guests that you have on here, as people have said while watching the show, this is why we come to watch it, because there are people that have unique stories. For every one of these folks that was involved in the program, there's a unique story. And it was great to hear Gary sharing his remembrances. Marty has done it, of course, before. Um, um, Bob, the gentleman that was here the other day, Grant
Renee.
Granath.
Granath, Bob
Yeah,
Granath,
Bob
PA
Granath, Terry
officer,
White.
Daryl Higginbotham.
The list goes on and on. So the stories are great there. For guys like that are geeky about this stuff, you're always looking for a nugget that you've never heard before,
Yeah.
and you can always find it here.
Well, thank you. And I'm a little puzzled, like some of us, why we don't have more viewers, because it's not about me, it's about bringing people to you that can talk about this stuff. I'm just a space geek, and though I know a little bit, we have the real people on here. It's just fascinating. 50 years after the Apollo era, people are still fascinated with some of the minutia, like we talked about the hold down bolts on the
Oh,
Saturn
yes.
V.
Yeah.
In the shuttle the same way. Uh, so you got a question for Mitch about space or anything, let us know. Hello to my daughter Jessie and McKinley and Macy, my grandkids there. Hope you're being good for grandma here, or your mom, not your grandma. Hope you're being good with your mom there. And good afternoon to Dean Babcock. And you'll meet Dean Babcock as well as Tommy Usiak at Shuttle Fest. And we'll talk a little bit about Shuttle Fest. Mitch and his Man Space have become a big supporter of Shuttle Fest now as a sponsor, and we appreciate that. We'll be talking more about that. Anything you want to throw Mitch's way, please do. But go check out Gary. Gary basically wanted to tell you about his job and other people's job to debunk the hoaxers of how could you be doing all this stuff that if we weren't going to the moon type of thing. So the time went by fast, and you could split it up.
Yeah.
And Gary will be on again. There's a little advertising we did for you on today's show. I took something that you had on your Facebook page last time on there. So there's a special lady that we're going to get to know, Ellen Leonard. With you.
Ellen Runyon.
Ellen Runyon. Okay,
Right.
Runyon. Okay, didn't know which one she wanted to go by.
Yeah.
Ellen Runyon is an artist inspired by Chris Calley. Hand me her bag over there, Mitch. As we do things here, this is some of her artwork that she gave me a bag of, Marty. This is so cool, and some of her original artwork on a swag bag for me. She's going to provide all of our attendees at Shuttlefest such a swag bag with the Hubble artwork that she has on there. Again, inspired by Chris Calley, her artwork. Tell us, about her more than I do. I just met her today.
Yeah, so I know that she enjoys the art. She's not an artist by trade. It's something that she enjoys doing as a hobby, and has done this. What she's doing here, as I understand it, she's done with other museums before. Where she's providing these beautiful. It ups the game, right? It's a nice.
This ups the game. She
Yeah.
wanted to supply this to our shuttle festers.
With that beautiful logo that's going to be on the
We're gonna have
back.
the logo on the back here. Did I pull our Shuttle Fest logo? You'll see it here in a minute. But thank you, Ellen. Gave her and her sister Tracy a tour of the museum.
Yeah, that was this morning. That was Ellen and I
Yep.
in front of the museum this morning.
And she's got some of your coffee that you do to promote your efforts, as well as the DVD of the artist and the astronaut that we're going to talk about here in just a second. So something that is dear to your heart.
Yes.
There, Mitch. There's Mitch and I in the
That's in the Gemini room.
Sacred Gemini Gallery there, where I told you my favorite Gemini story. What was the Twitter of the day, or the X of the day in 1965-66?
Yeah.
And that's AM radio. That's how you got the latest information there. But Mitch gave me a little Christmas present there of some Tang. How about toasting a Tang there
So,
with me, buddy?
yeah.
And this beautiful, Marty, look at this. That is an Apollo
in honor of
17
today's
mug that is clear on the inside. It's clear on the outside, and you see the rest of the logo.
Yeah, if you hold it up like that, you can see how the
Yeah.
back of the glass completes the mission logo. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So these are
with
available.
the stylized American eagle and the American flag, and beautiful, Mitch. In fact, I'll pour my Tang in there to taste.
Cheers to Apollo 17.
There you go. We're
Splashed
gonna
down, 52 years ago today?
Mitch is saying it.
I have to say, I've never tasted Tang before. chilled. It's good.
Good. On the rocks.
Cheers.
Yeah, there you go. You
Absolutely.
could throw some
I'm
gin in
sorry,
there if
Marty.
you wanted. Marty?
You were saying that glass is available where?
Oh, it's a company. I don't. So you'll find them on eBay. It's a company called Houze, Houze. They don't make them anymore that I know of. But I have two complete sets. They did all of the Apollo missions.
And
It was
each one has part of the logo on the back
they're
there.
all the same. It goes from Apollo 7, and actually Walt Cunningham, Apollo 7 astronaut, commissioned them to do the very first one, and it was Apollo 7 glass. And then they did all the mission patches, and it goes up through Apollo Soyuz, but doesn't include Skylab.
Nice little tumbler there for your adult beverage. Yeah, I
Yeah, you
believe
can
I-
imagine being at a cocktail party in the Apollo days, having a
Yeah.
cocktail out of that.
that is awesome. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're
And we're
welcome.
going to hit the pilots of Apollo 17 because that's what Mitch and I love doing with our Facebook pages is celebrating this fabulous history of the American space age that nobody's repeated it like we've done it.
That's
Right,
right.
Mitch?
Yeah.
And I want Mitch to talk more about these missions than me. We got Gary Gerald, just got off his tractor down there in Collins, Georgia. Hi, Gary. And I know that you'll enjoy a question or two to Mitch there. So there we are. There, let's go forward there. Yeah, Shuttle Fest 4, and uh, looking forward to you being at it and helping sponsor us. We've got 4 astronauts now. The question mark has been filled by John Grunsfeld, in case you want him.
Yeah. Okay.
3 of the 5 Hubble missions, the 6th one was the deploy, was John was an EVA astronaut, the last human to touch the shuttle. He and Joe Tanner.
The Hubble.
The Hubble, yeah, the shuttle, to touch the Hubble telescope. He and Joe Tanner going to be on Hubble Hugging Saturday. And Eileen Collins and Don Thomas will be featured on Sunday. So what do you think about that lineup?
It's
You've
going to be
you've been
big.
to a lot of things.
Yeah, so it's a great lineup, and it's exciting to be a part of how big it's getting, right? So, right, you've told me it's the first time I'm attending Shuttle Fest, but I know that in the past it wasn't the weekend that this event is going to be, and so if you know people that are that are into space and want to come down to Florida at a lovely time of year, right? April is a
Yeah.
nice time of year.
Spring break.
And tickets are still available. It's going to be a great weekend.
$90 for all 3 days. We may add some other value to this thing as we go along. The first 3 Shuttle Fest, frankly, Mitch, I kind of call them Mark's lemonade stand that I set up to try to frame this thing up and get a business model. And we think we've succeeded in that. And now we're ready for the brick and mortar to go up. And at the Hyatt Place is a very small hotel. I'm going to have to put up an event tent to rent for that. We got 4 astronauts to pay for. So yes, you want to put your business on this, like you have, like Steve Jokums has done with his Lake County Spaceport. And others, we're going to welcome that and aggressively advertise and go for that as a fundraiser after the first of the year.
Right.
So, and anything you can all bring to it. We've got astronaut Chris Calley will always chair, artist Chris Calley will always chair a art panel. I mean, we've got Mike Leinbach coming. We've got Bob Seek coming. Between them, they launched 2/3 of all the space shuttles. We've got Jay Honeycutt, who is an architect of the shuttle program, and then Kennedy Space Center director. Jonathan Ward, author of 2 books, one of Mike Leinbach's Bringing Columbia Home, the other Eileen Collins' book. We're going to give Jonathan Ward a lot of love at this. Tommy Usiak's going to chair a photography panel. Dave Chudwin, I believe.
Yeah,
you met
sure.
Dave at some events.
Great.
We're gonna
great
he's
book.
got a couple books. We're gonna let him sell, as well as Emily Carney with her new book.
Yeah, she did with
Space
Bruce
Hipster
McCandless.
#1. Yeah. So hope that you can find time to come. We limited it to about 125 tickets. So this will be an event I think will be talked about for years after it's over.
It's going to be the one that they 10 years. Do you remember when it was?
At the yeah,
Yeah, it's
at
going to.
that little hotel. So,
It,
yeah, I
right.
agree. Because we're moving it. I've got some plans with some Cocoa Beach hotels, which should even be a better uh, to go to the beach right there. But it's going to be a lot more than $90. Marty, we got a
Yeah.
question there as we go to your question.
Which one first?
Well, let's take the question that you have there. We got. Go ahead and take that question. I see it.
Okay. Yeah, Dean Babcock is asking, will Gary Alguar be on a panel?
Not at the moment, Dean. That's a good question there. But Gary certainly will be in future shuttle fests as a structural engineer on the shuttle. We'll not going to say that we couldn't find a place for him this year, but we're planning each year loosely around some sort of a theme or anniversary. This is the 35th anniversary of the Hubble telescope. They couldn't celebrate the 30th because of COVID, so we're going to get a lot of Hubble huggers out of that. But Gary, I'll talk to Gary about what he could bring to us at this Shuttle Fest or future Shuttle Fest. But thank you for planting that seed, Dean. All right, Marty, what's the trivia question of the day?
Space Shuttle water deluge system dumped how many gallons of water at launch on the shuttle program, on the shuttle?
All right. Of course, on the pad there is the deluge system being checked out by a bunch of hard hats there. Don't see that picture very often. I was
Yeah.
surprised to find that. Uh, I'd say it's like Niagara Falls there, a little bit of
Yeah.
mist coming down on you there. Marty, what was the reason for that?
For what? For the test?
Well, for the sound suppression, or I just gave it away for the water.
Yeah, to suppress the sound, to keep the to help to help reduce the damage to any tiles.
Right. So noisy that the noise they're afraid the tiles would come off from the reverberations and so forth. So how many gallons of water is that, do you think? Okay. Dean Babcock's guessing 20,000. Steve Jocum's about 30,000. 300,000.
Yeah, 200,000.
200,000 is Dean's 300,000 for Steve Jokum. Glad that he just joined. We were just talking about his support of Shuttle Fest. We got a cool birthday that an astronaut that, sometimes if you'd put 5 names in a row and you'd say one of these is not an astronaut, I'm not sure I would pick it, because there's some names, there's 350 American astronauts, all right? So you got a lot of names. This is a name I wouldn't recognize. If you said Fred Leslie was an astronaut, yes or no, I'd say, well, Leslie,
Yeah, but what made it confusing was it's Phil Weldon Leslie. I guess somewhere I picked up the nickname
yeah.
Fred.
This is Jumpers Over 70 website, and Bruce Jacobs, who is a septuagenarian, and he made a jump at age 70. He's one of these guys that loves to jump out of perfectly good airplanes. Okay, and so happy birthday to Fred W. Leslie. I don't know where they get the Phil on that, because I saw Fred everywhere else. Born December 19th, 1951 in Ancon, Panama, but he grew up in Irving, Texas. A payload specialist on STS-73, that was the second microgravity lab of the U.S. Spent 16 days in space, all right? And then he went on to be a teacher and got his PhD in meteorology and he's a fluid mechanics teacher is what he was. But this tribute to him today on his birthday. He's a member of the United States Parachute Association with more than, get this, Mitch, 5,500 parachute jumps. All right. He participated in the largest free fall formations, first setting the 200-person formation record, and there's actually 400 people jumped out of airplanes and then grabbed each other's arms and were in some sort of circle or formation, whatever on there. So happy birthday to I'm not going to say an obscure astronaut because wherever he's at, people know he's an astronaut. There he is doing a jump at age 70 a few years ago, I guess, as he is 73 years old, and he flew on STS 73.
There you go.
Don't we love those kind of juxtapositions there? Well, Mitch, tell us about manned space and
Hey, let me just before we talk about manned space juxtaposition. So I just found out that Marty's daughter was born in Syosset Hospital on Long Island, and I graduated Syosset High School. When I was a kid, I was treated at Syosset Hospital, and Marty's daughter. Uh, so anyway, I
cool.
you talk about being in the right place, meeting people. So
No, this is the kismet of our museum for sure, and I think you see around you all kinds of things that, wow, they've got that, and how they acquired that was luck or,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever. Like our whole Cape Canaveral gallery would not right now be in a waste management landfill somewhere.
Well, when we were in the Scout Gallery, right, today and watched the launch, if you will,
Yeah,
that was neat. I hadn't actually sat through, so you go into the room and you'll help me with the details of the exhibit, but it's you're in a facility that is full of ground sequence equipment, right?
yes, actual hard equipment that was used to do everything from keep the Atlas rocket stabilized with air. All right.
Yeah,
The
during launch sequence, of
yeah.
course. And then at launch, they've gotten it so that the devices there's a device back there from the 1960s, early 60s, that it was the second generation of equipment, that actually is the lights are doing what they would have been doing on a live launch. And of course, the Mercury Redstone 1A was launched this day, first successful flight of the Mercury program, 1960, I believe.
Yeah.
Today. So, and you have the Mercury MR1
Hatch
at the
just on the
hatch
other
from
on
the
the wall over here. Yeah.
yeah, which was why there had to be an MR1A, was
Yeah.
because of the damage that
And the
vehicle.
Cosmosphere. You been to the Cosmosphere?
Yes, yeah.
Well, they've got the rest of it.
Okay.
They've got it in a room where they should put the moon rock, really. But they talk about President Kennedy, and on the wall there behind glass is the remains of Mercury Atlas 1,
Okay.
the Mercury spacecraft itself in there. And occasionally I'll tease them, but we've got the hatch here. And
Yeah.
So
MR Mercury Redstone 1A, 1960.
Atlas, that was the Atlas rocket that was on.
Okay, but this what happened today was it was a Redstone launch. It was a suborbital
Oh, okay.
launch.
Oh,
The
today in
MR1A,
history.
today in
Gotcha.
history.
Okay, we got another. Yeah,
If you
right.
go to NASA Manned Space on Facebook, you'll find out all about it.
And I will, and we shared what's on your site there. Steve Jokums running errands. Week 6 days till Christmas. Imagine that. We've all been running errands, and that's why we're going to take a break next week. Donna Martinez says, "Hi, Mitch. Love seeing you. Share your passion." So, hello, Donna. Keep staying curious with us all here.
The crowds would have been bigger, but it was short notice this time.
That's right. We couldn't stuff them in here last time we announced it in here. Where'd you get this idea? How old is your space, your manned space Facebook page, and how many followers do you have?
So the Facebook group is about over 17,000. It started in November of 2022. Actually, so the concept manned space was launched in 2020, right? That's what it says on the patch there. But it started first as YouTube and then evolved into Facebook. When you go to the Facebook group, you'll see the daily history of what I call the golden age of the American manned space program celebrated. We recount, and I try to find obscure tidbits of history for each of the Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, Skylab, Apollo Soyuz programs. That's what we focus on. And then we have original content that we create on the YouTube channel. that also celebrates that history in a documentary format. But the Facebook group, we're involved in other things, right? So we've talked about the artist and the astronaut. We'll talk, I guess, about the lunar landing day thing. So it's a way to build a community, to meet people from around the country that are doing interesting things in the space, what I call the space. And for me, if they're if it's something that's preserving that early history and honoring that history, celebrating that history, that's in my wheelhouse. If there's something I can do through the social media space to help people promote their thing, then that's what I do.
He's got two things working on here: the artist and the astronaut documentary, and a effort to make July 20th official holiday Moon Day. We'll talk about that here in just a second. If you're a Facebooker, please go to Manspace and join Mitch's group there.
Yeah, please subscribe.
Like I have. You do find some very obscure things. You'll have a lot of training, astronauts in training on this date.
Yeah,
and
so
photos. You always got to have photos on your post.
well, that's the challenge, because I think that's the thing that drives Facebook, is it's got to be that visual, people doing this number. It's got to be something that's going to stop them. And I'll often hear from people on the group, oh, I'd never seen the picture there, that's not uncommon, because see, I'm trying to find the stuff, and as we know, there's all kinds of material on Flickr, just for
Yeah.
starters. That's all public domain. That's NASA's material. You can find a whole bunch of stuff if you look. And so trying to take a mundane, maybe today they practiced ingress egress for 20 minutes to see if the buckle on the thing stayed, whatever, it could be
Right.
something really obscure, but you want to try to find the visual that also tells the story, but draws excitement, right? Draws the eyes, trying to get people to look and watch.
Of course, historic events that happen, we love celebrating them, just like Mitch does on his page there. We got Carlton Bailey's join us. We've got Squeebles. Hi, Mark and Mitch.
Squeebles.
Great to sit in on your chats. We loved Manspace.
My nieces.
Squeebles. That's your nieces?
My little nieces. Well, they're not so little anymore, but yeah. They're
All
still the
right.
youngest in the family.
Sweet. Thank you. Where's she at?
They are actually in Florida, right? Well, they're either on their way or here. They live in North Carolina, but they're coming in for the holidays.
Shirley Newman.
My mother-in-law.
She says she's amazed about the water deluge to mute the sound waves as a protective measure for tiles on the craft. Thanks for inviting us, Mitch. And Cliff Watson.
Thanks for joining us.
Cliff Watson, how's it look on Friday over there off Pomona, Australia? Mitch is on the east coast of Australia, where they're just getting ready to hit their summer stride down there. We have
That's right.
this weekend's the summer solstice or winter solstice for us, summer solstice for them. So Cliff was here for Shuttle Fest, and I'll bet he's following you on Manspace. Well, let's do a little rack up a little bit a brag book photo album there for you to say hi to some of our friends. Who you have there with you?
So that's Chris Callie on the left, my left. I guess I don't.
Yeah.
All right, I'm not.
You're
great
right.
with left and right.
The left to right.
Yeah, that's Chris, the renowned space artist, big supporter, of course, of the museum.
Renowned.
Renowned.
Yes, renowned.
Exactly, and that really is. I mean,
he's-
when you think of space artists, McCall comes to mind, Callie comes to mind, Chris and Paul, right? So
he's very humble about his work. He really is. He's a great guy.
He's a very
doesn't
nice
take
guy.
himself so seriously, and though he is serious about his work, you got a great guy on the left of you there.
Lloyd Franklin. So
Lloyd.
We'll be talking. Lloyd was a Boeing engineer. Actually competed for a spot on the shuttle that went to Greg Jarvis.
Oh, really?
Lloyd worked with Greg at Hughes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So there was, I think Lloyd told me there was like 60 something guys that were competing at the time. And of course, Jarvis was was sadly lost on the Challenger.
After being bumped twice by
Okay,
politicians.
that's right. Yeah,
He
you've
got bumped
talked
by
about
Jake
that.
Garn, and then he got bumped by
Bill Nelson.
Bill Nelson.
Yeah,
And that's a bittersweet there.
yeah.
I'm not sure. This is at Zorella's, by the
Yeah,
way.
so
John
this, and then
Zorella's
that's Ron
son from.
Franco. So Ron is a former Air Force pilot. He's a captain for American Airlines, but he was involved in a program, and I don't remember. I think it was called Habitable something. Maybe guys out there, somebody watching is familiar with the program. It was some type of program where they lived in it was a NASA thing, where he lived in this habitation for so many days,
Oh, wow.
and had to have the same training, and had to endure the same physical training and what have you as any of the astronauts. So that was sort of that. Ron's a neat guy.
Okay.
And
Well,
that was at ASF.
let everybody know what kind of work you did.
So I was a trial lawyer. I if you name a crime, I represented somebody charged with it.
Okay.
And white collar, blue collar,
A lot of
federal,
stories to
state,
tell
a lot
there.
of stories, a lot of secrets.
Yeah.
It was I enjoyed it, but it's a heavy load to lift.
Yeah.
Not that other people's jobs aren't heavy
Where were you
loads,
when you were
but this is the one
practicing?
that I had. Well, I actually was licensed in Florida, Colorado, and Texas, and practiced in each of the three states.
Okay.
And so it was a lot of running around. But it just, frankly,
Running around on airplanes, you mean,
well,
probably.
that's what I mean. Doing a
Yeah.
lot of traveling, and once I didn't have to do it anymore, I stopped doing it.
Yeah. We have
I loved it. Don't get me wrong,
obviously
but
treated you well, obviously, as you and your beautiful wife Paula can go and do things in your retirement
yeah,
that you really enjoy. And this is a guy that goes to the black tie dinners of the 50th anniversary of this and that. And
yeah, and
I'm surprised you never made it to one of the Grumman reunions
well,
down
Marty
there.
hasn't invited me.
They're over. You missed
I
them.
missed them.
They're all too old.
Yeah,
Except
well,
Marty
yeah, but
that
yeah,
organized them.
Marty's. Um, but no, and if you can't go to the black tie events, but want to see what they're like, follow us. Follow the NASA Man Space Facebook group, and I post from those. And I also do videos that you can see on the YouTube channel. So if you want to see what those events are like, uh, subscribe.
Well, we'll do that. We're gonna. This is why we have Mitch here, so you can get to know him a little bit better. Cliff Watson said he sent me and Marty a gift for Christmas, and thank you, Cliff. Uh, I love the. I was just looking at the shuttle book last night that you gave me, and I meant to bring it in, and I probably will tomorrow. Maybe not tomorrow, or yeah, today's Thursday. Friday, I'm going to do my Star of Bethlehem. I'll just kind of do a canned show about was the Star of Bethlehem real, and I think you'll all enjoy that. Here's another influencer that's been on Stay Curious, Lee Wilson there,
Yeah,
and
Ely
his
Wilson, the
artwork.
artist, and I guess also is he a docent out at
Yeah, he's an
Kennedy?
educator at Kennedy Space Center Visitors Complex. Lee does these diorama reliefs of the moon and puts lunar meteorites or in the sections where the landings were in there.
Yeah, we that was at the
So,
ASF Hall of Fame induction weekend this year, actually,
okay. And there's a pretty famous guy you're with.
here at the museum. This was here at the American Space Museum for the 50th anniversary of Skylab.
Uh-huh.
So Rusty was here with Jack Lausma.
Rusty Schweiker,
Yeah, Rusty Schweikert, Apollo 9, first flown lunar module pilot.
founder of Asteroid Day, June 30th.
Right?
Uh, not if, but when we're going to get hit by another extinctions type asteroid. It'll happen somewhere down the epoch of Earth, and he's very involved with that.
Yeah, and he's plugging along. I mean, the guy looks great.
Yeah,
You know.
he's got to be 88, 89.
Yeah.
He surprised me at his warmth and interest in talking about what.
Yeah, he was real engaging when he was here. There's a bunch of us he was sharing great stories
Yeah.
with. Um,
He's one astronaut I've heard not bad stories about, but just that he's sort of uh, not that approachable. But I didn't find him that way.
I've met him
We've
several
got an
times over the
astronaut.
years. Yeah, I've never
Uh,
found him that way.
there's an astronaut that comes to the encounters all the time that we call Grumpy, and Marty knows him exactly who I mean when I say Grumpy. And sometimes he's not so grumpy, but sometimes he is. But I just really love talking to this guy. He hung out. I think he really enjoyed it. And of course, Apollo 9 fame.
Yeah,
And there's your beautiful wife, Paula.
that's yeah, Snoopy.
What's-
I'm
what's the-
sorry,
what's the-
Charlie Brown.
What's the eye candy behind you there?
That's Charlie Brown.
Okay.
So that's in London. We were in London earlier this. Actually, we were in London, I guess, in October. That's at the London Science Museum. It's Apollo 10. The hatch for that vehicle is at the Stafford Museum. I was just there in
Oh, really?
October. They have the hatch for that vehicle. So the hatch that they're trying to reunite the hat,
How
Stafford
they
wants
get-
to reunite the hatch with the vehicle.
At their place, of course.
Of course, right.
Yeah,
So, but I'll tell you this. So the Stafford Museum is going to be the home to a Skylab 4 command module, which is currently in a museum in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, right? So, and of course, Stafford's museum is in Oklahoma. They're already building
just
a
less than
13
60 miles on I-40. I've been to both.
Okay.
I've been to Stafford's 4 times.
Yeah.
It is
it's
one
an
of my
amazing
favorite museums. It's top 5 for me. Isn't it
Absolutely.
fabulous? Just-
It competes with any of the big coastal museums in terms of collection, in terms of the quality of the presentation. It's a world-class museum.
Yeah.
It's amazing place.
If you've all been there, maybe you'll remember what I'm going to share with you. One of my favorite memories there, and my sister lives in San Angelo, Texas. So when I was in Tennessee, I go across I-40 and then cut down whatever the north-south into Texas was, and stopped there 4 times, kind of at the end of the road. It's just outside Oklahoma City. But so you go into this like this big polished curved walls of this section in there, and you walk in there and they got big video screen that's showing you the solid rocket booster coming down from a camera inside of it. All right, you see the parachutes come out, you hear the wind, you hear things clacking against it and stuff like that, and then you realize you're inside of it. You're inside of an SRB, all right, section of it, and all this is built inside of it. You know what I'm talking about?
This was in Stafford.
In Stafford's, yeah.
So
Yeah.
what I'm thinking of,
And when you looked out at
You
out
look-
that way, you would see a shuttled pallet that they have in there. the white
oh
shuttle
yes,
pallet.
so you're talking about the space. I thought we were talking about Apollo. Okay, yeah,
I meant the
where
space
you're
shuttle.
standing in.
Yeah, you really don't realize you're inside.
Right,
of a
you're
section
standing
of the
in front of
SRB.
yeah, they have a section. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's at the end, and I go, wow, that's a cool demonstration.
yeah.
you know?
That's the thing. So it's got great shuttle. It's got great, of course, Gemini, Apollo, Tom Stafford flew it.
They got his Gemini 6 there now.
Yeah.
Isn't 6 there?
I can't-
9 is out here at Kennedy Space Center.
Okay, then
I mean,
yeah, it must be 6.
Yeah, it must be 6. That
Um,
wasn't there when I was there. They got the largest replica of a Titan. That was
Oh
towards
yes,
the back
yes,
in there.
yes. That's still there. In fact, when he was lying in state at his museum after the general passed, they had, his flag draped coffin was there in front of the that Titan II with the color guard there. It's very
Wow,
impressive.
yeah. Tom Stafford Museum in Weatherford, Oklahoma. They've even got a moon rock about the size of your little pinky in there. So I hope you're enjoying this conversation here. I got Terry White. Let me do this. Hello, Terry. Hey, you're live on Stay Curious, brother. Say hi to everybody. Terry White's on my smart tablet. Terry?
He found out he was live. He hung up.
Oh,
Oh, the-
there you are. I got Mitch Rothman on the show, and we got you live on our microphone. Say hi.
How's it going, Terry?
before Christmas, so hope everyone has a great Christmas.
All right, buddy. You going to Louisiana?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Well, that's what I wanted to know. So I'll catch up with you. All right. Have some
All right.
good, enjoy some good Christmas gumbo for me.
Yeah. Safe
All right,
travels.
thanks.
Enjoy the yeah.
All right.
Enjoy
Bye,
Christmas.
Terry. That's Terry
All right.
White. If you want him there, that's pretty lot of fun there. Boy, we've been talking over 40 minutes here, and still kind of got a lot of slides to go through. You have got a all right. Go ahead, Marty. You got a question?
Yeah, I'm struggling here, trying to hit the right button. Dean Babcock wants to know, how did the Apollo 10 command module end up in London?
You know, I think it was supposed to just visit and then sort of never came back.
Yeah, some of these things are you never know.
I know that because I spoke to I was at the Stafford Museum in October and spoke to the new director, and I know that it was a long General Stafford's dream to get that command module into his museum, and I know they would still love to do it. I don't know why it's over there.
I don't know whether the hatch would get separated either. We'll
yeah.
look into that. That's got us curious, Dean, and we'll look into that. I do know a story like this. Apollo 9 is at the what's that called in Love Field in Dallas.
So the Frontiers of Flight.
Frontier, have you been there?
Yes.
Frontiers of Flight. That's a cool museum.
Okay, that's Apollo 7, right? Isn't
Correct.
It?
I
Yeah.
said 9.
Right.
I mean
9's
7.
in San Diego.
I mean 7 with Cunningham.
Right.
Because it was up in Canada. The command module was up in Canada, and through their doings, Cunningham's wife was friends with someone up in Canada where this museum was, and she helped negotiate to bring it back to Texas where she was from. So I do know astronaut Cunningham's
Cunningham
wife had something to do
Right.
with getting the Apollo 7 command module at Love Field there at the Frontiers of Flight, which is another one of my favorite ones. You could actually hold on to hang off the side of the hatch. You walk up to the look, it got plastic over the inside to look in the command module, but the door's open there. And I looked at the docent and I said, "Can I touch it?" And he goes, "Of course. You know, you can touch the whole thing on the outside if you want." So I did. I put my hands on the outside, but you couldn't move the gears or anything on it. But
Like a kid in a
pretty
command
cool.
module.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And you did it too, probably, if you were
Yeah.
there. All right. So, all right, let's talk about a serious something we want to get you all involved in.
Yeah, and I will tell you that a lot of folks that watch Stay Curious are involved. Where I'm helping, I got involved with this Lunar Landing Day as a national holiday with some folks from California that I met. And this is his thing and he's been working. I was very impressed. We went to Washington, D.C., just it was after the election. So it was a quiet place. We're actually going back in March to meet. We had appointments with 7 senators and a congresswoman's office, as it were. We're there talking about having July 20th. Yeah, so this I think this was Senator Jean Shaheen's office, his first stop of the day. I can't remember I can't see the sign on it. It says whose office it is on the plaque there. But to the left there are Bob and Mary, Bob Slater, and I can't remember Mary's last name right now. But in any event, they're the two that took the lead on this. We had an audience. In order to get an audience with these, we met with 7 different officials, right, from 6 different states. In order to get an audience with them, if you weren't a citizen of their state, you had to have somebody that was going to be participating in the conversation. So Bob, I was thoroughly impressed how they had coordinated all of these people that joined in that were from the various states. So in the case of, we went to see Mark Kelly, for instance. His office was great. They were very receptive to the idea, gave us some great, you can learn as much about the process visiting them as you're teaching them about what you're there for, right? If they're interested in it, they'll sort of kind of guide you along. And so that was a lesson we learned, I think, about how to do this.
To make July 20th a national holiday when man
So we're going to have,
achieved their greatest adventure.
right, of course, the landing of Apollo 11, and we see it as not only celebrating the history, because I will tell you that that's not going to be enough to carry the ball over the line where these elected officials are concerned.
It's not.
Right, it's not going to be enough to talk about the history. What's tickling funny bones is talking about STEM or STEAM. Right.
Education.
It's all about education. And Mary, who was with us, was, we each had Lloyd Franklin joined us, Umberto Caldelas joined us. So you haven't met him. He'll be here for Shuttle Fest. And so there was a handful of us, and then we had people on the phone. So we could have as many as 8 people attending these meetings at any one time. And so she had the statistics about where we're falling behind Russia and China on certainly in literacy. The numbers, I didn't know she was going to say this. The numbers were astounding to me. These countries are at least claiming, I don't know what the source was, frankly, but 98, 99% literacy rate. And the United States is, somewhere like at 78%. And of those, half of them can't speak, can't read above a 6th grade level. So if even one day a week or one day a year, we stop to think of the importance of education and recognize what you can achieve using your head.
Mm-hmm.
That became, but of course it's still to recognize one of the things we talked about, and I think we can all agree on that. That whatever your opinion of the outcome of the last election is, or whatever, this was something, I think it doesn't matter what color you red, blue, whatever. This is something that we can all kind of agree on, that to recognize this was a great thing that America did.
Oh, absolutely.
And there are still great things ahead. And to remember this, to celebrate this, is to sort of be the reminder. We've gotten support from Buzz Aldrin, Jack Schmidt, Charlie Duke, all of the Apollo, Fred Hayes. Because Bob, he's got friends that know people. This is where having a thick Rolodex comes in handy, and so. But if you want to get involved, I will be. So you can go to the website. It's called.
Do you have some? Did you have some? Is that the materials for one
Yeah.
day there?
But the website is Lunar Landing Day. That's what you have in your hand.
Yeah.
It's lunarlandingday.com. And eventually we're working out some kinks, but you'll be able to go there and sign the petition. I've collected the names of people that I've put together, and we're collecting names by state, because there may come a day where we're going to say, hey, we're going to be up in D.C., and I'm going to go see, the senator from Ohio. I'm not from Ohio. Bob's not from Ohio, but you from Ohio. You supported it. Will you join us and be on the phone and help us advocate for this? And I'm hoping, we talked yesterday about talking with Bert Dickton and getting the National Space Society involved. I don't know if this is the kind of advocacy they would be interested in helping with, and so perhaps that's something we can explore. But that's what's going on. We're heading back in March. Of course, March will be different than going there after an election, because when we go back in March, it'll be the new Congress in session. But we've been told, this isn't something you're going to have to take a few cuts at the ball. We were told it's going to be a couple, 3 sessions before you see this come to pass. Maybe I'm naive. So it's like, well, what could possibly be the pushback? Why wouldn't somebody want to support this? Well, it's like everything else. It's all about money, and so it costs money. And so, again, I think we conceded during our meetings it's about 850 million, or I can't. Mary had the numbers on what it costs the government to pay employees for paid days off, and there are people in Congress that this is enough to turn them off to it.
So if
So
you're
the
going to
few
have a
dollars-
national holiday that people are paid for, you have a 800.
Why would I give them another one? This was I didn't have this experience. Mary and Bob have been advocating for this before I came along.
Yeah.
They just asked me if I would get involved and help promote it and help participate in it. But they got that kind of feedback. What, I should give them another paid holiday? And I know there are people out there that feel that way. I didn't think of it.
Well,
but it's certainly a position that we have to overcome.
Well,
if we're gonna make it happen.
from your notes here, and we're going to support this as I'm the director of the American Space Museum. We're going to do what we can to promote it and help you. 410,000 people worked hard in all 50 states to ensure the success of Apollo 11. Gary Allgaier was one of those guys, and he showed you how hard he was working on our Stay Curious episode yesterday. And of course, the education roles and all that sort of stuff. We celebrate Christopher Columbus discovering America, Columbus Day, or now they call it Indigenous Day, or I think in there, to be politically correct. But July 20th is something that happened that affected the whole world. Every human being, that was an intelligent adult at the time was mesmerized by it. And good luck to you. Steve Joachim says, why not have Neil's night? We have Yuri's night.
Yeah.
And Yuri's night will be going on after Shuttle Fest on July 2. We want the shuttle's April 12th also, and I'm going, why don't we celebrate Shuttle Night? That shuttles changed the world more than anything. It's space. So
if anybody is interested, wants to participate, has questions, we're going back to DC in March. I could tell you exactly
here
the
you
date.
are with Lloyd. Lloyd went
Yeah,
with you there?
this was at Senator Kelly's office in DC. That was a training suit that was on display in the reception area of his Senate office.
Lloyd Franklin there. Hi, Lloyd.
Yeah, Lloyd joined us. I'm wearing my my Earthrise tie, and Lloyd's got his lunar module tie on. I know you probably can't see that, but we were dressed for the occasion.
I got a couple of hearts here for you from Paula.
Oh, good.
Paula's watching. She's enjoying the chat.
She
here,
loves
so
that I'm
thank
not
you,
there.
Paula. Thank you, and can't wait to meet you again, Paula.
Yeah, she'll be here for Shuttle Fest.
Great, good deal. And there's
that was after. So that was at the Watergate Hotel. That was after a successful day of. That's Umberto there, closest to the camera on the left.
Okay. He's really one of the instigators of this.
No, actually, the two instigators
right,
are Mary and Bob on the right. And I invited others to get involved, and Lloyd and Umberto wanted to get involved. So they joined us. They both live in the DC area. So we stayed. Bob is a history buff. I know you were a reporter, and we stayed at the Watergate Hotel because
Sure.
If you go to the Watergate as a guest, the room where the burglars actually stayed, the Watergate burglars,
Right.
For those who are familiar with the history,
G. Gordon Liddy, and
it's actually you can pay to spend the night there, and it's almost a museum with display panels and period furniture. And period typewriter, the stuff. Anyway,
yeah, I was influenced by that as a journalist in the 70s, and today I tell kids don't go into liberal arts if you want to make money. Become an engineer
Yeah,
or a
yeah.
lawyer, maybe.
No, go into engineering.
Okay.
I would have done it, but I couldn't add.
Let's segue here to something that's close to your heart. This DVD, The Artist and the Astronaut. Tell us who the artist is, who's the astronaut, and who are your friends that
Okay.
put this together, Mitch.
So, well, and hopefully we're going to be well. Plans are to screen it during Shuttle Fest.
Mm-hmm.
It'll
Absolutely.
be a little breath of Apollo era during Hubble and shuttle hugging.
Yeah.
So the artist and the astronaut is a film by Bill Mensch. I met Bill through the social media sphere, and so I've been helping him promote the film. We brought the film. We were in Weatherford in October and did a screening at um, the Stafford Air and Space Museum. And with us were, in addition to myself, I emceed the event. It was Bill, the filmmaker, Bill Mensch, the guy that wrote the original score, Todd Hoban, wrote the original music for the film. He was there, and Jeff Carr, Jerry Carr's Apollo 4 commander, Jerry Carr's son, Jeff, is in the film. He was also with us for the screening at the Stafford. And Jeff has an interesting story. In fact, Bob Granath, who was on the other day, Jeff was his boss.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah, Bob mentioned that.
So the astronaut was Jerry Carr.
And the artist is his second wife, Pat Music. Pat, it's sort of a coming of age story. It tells it covers his career. You know, he was a carrier pilot in the Marines and was flying during, in the late 50s, that whole scene. And she, on the other hand, was married to a college Cornell's the head football coach of Cornell University. Her husband was her first husband. That's where the music name came from. And anyway, he died a young man of cancer. And then Jerry came back from his flight, not in '74, and shortly thereafter separated and then ultimately divorced. And through friends and what have you, they met. And the work that she does as an artist. So the film is great as a space guy because it covers a lot of the Skylab flight, right? So you'll see material you haven't seen. But it also has original interviews. Bill got some amazing time with Alan Bean. Alan and Jerry Carr were friends.
Yeah, Alan's in there quite a bit right before he died.
It was just before he died. He was an influence on Pat as their art evolves together, as Alan told it.
She was an eclectic artist.
Yeah, and she
not pigeonholed into one style. She did
but she was
3D
doing
and
right.
things
The
like
3D stuff is where she and Jerry connected because the stuff had to be engineered, and so he brought that engineering.
She did outdoor art pieces,
these very
swings
large
or something
with
like that.
boulders and steel and
Yeah.
sculpted, and and he jokes in the film. She would say, "Oh, I got another idea for a piece of art," and he would say, "Well, how much is it going to weigh?"
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of funny. And it talks about their bond and what they were, who they were, the interesting lives they led, and how they came together and what that looked like. And it's a great story for space buffs. As I say, it's got Frank Borman. It's one of the last, maybe the last interview with Frank Borman. He's in the film. Beth Williams, C.C. Williams' wife. So that was interesting. So you would say, well, why would Beth Williams be in there? What was C.C.? Of course, Alan Bean is predominant in the movie, and of course, he took C.C. Williams' seat on Apollo 12 when C.C., who was slated to fly the mission, was killed in a plane crash. And that opened the slot for Alan. But the relationship with the Carrs and Beth Williams began because Jerry was selected by NASA to be sort of her handler after Cece passed, helping her navigate through the things you have to navigate through when you lose a spouse and you have a family and certainly unexpected young family. She had just announced that she would announced to him she was pregnant. So when he died, she was pregnant. But it was the honor the respect and love and that she felt for Jerry Carr for the way he dealt with her after CC's passing is why she's in the film, because you won't find her anywhere else. So that was unique. So it's great there.
Where is this available?
So it's available on DVD right now. Um, the, I've been posting. You can go to a website called GatherGathr.com. To go to the artistandtheastronaut.com. That's the best place to go. Go to the artistandtheastronaut.com. From there, there's a link where you can either purchase the DVD. It's now out on DVD. They're getting ready to roll it out on Amazon soon.
Okay.
That's in the.
There's Pat.
There's Pat, who's going strong at 94. 5.
Jerry died about 2 years ago, maybe. I saw him.
Okay.
He was out the Kennedy Space Center. Marty, did you see Jerry Carr when he was out there?
Yeah.
His last appearance, actually, it's probably about 6 years ago.
Yeah,
he died maybe 5 years ago. But great guy, good supporter of the American Space Museum, rookie commander of the last Skylab mission,
Right.
and spent 84 days in space. Wrote a book about it, and
David Shaler wrote the book, who I also had a chance to meet.
Shaler, yeah, right.
When I was in London. I met David Shaler, actually in Birmingham, England.
They're up in New England, knows where they lived. In Vermont, was it? Or?
Well, yeah, somewhere in New England. I want to say it was either Vermont or New Hampshire. I can't remember which.
Okay.
It's one of the small ones up there.
All right, but
I'm
that's
I'm
great.
sure they know the difference.
Well, we'll help promote this. I'm going to post some stuff on Facebook to help people find it.
Yeah, the artistandtheastronaut.com.
You gave me this signed copy. Thank you so much.
You can email me at manspace1, the number 1, manspace1 at gmail.com. I can about any of this stuff, or you find me on Facebook.
Or make a post to you on Facebook.
Right,
there,
post, yeah.
and
There's any number of ways to see the film, and it's a great film. So I hope you'll check it out.
All right. Well, we're going to promote that for you too. I enjoyed it. A lot of history of the '60s in there, emphasizing how in the heck did we go to the moon when there was a racial strife in America and the Vietnam War going on. What a decade the '60s was, and then we had disco in the '70s. I don't know what that was all about.
Kill it in half.
I was involved in it, that's for sure. I had my Saturday night fevers every Saturday night.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've been talking an hour here. I'm going to go through a couple things. We're not going to spend a lot of time on some of the things I showed you up here. We didn't know where this was going to go, but historic day in space history.
Yeah. Splashdown of Apollo 17, 52 years ago today. The last mission of the Apollo program, the last time a human being's been on the moon.
Looks like they all shaved on the way home.
Yeah,
And there's Gino and Gene and of course
John Young and Ron Evans.
No,
I mean Harrison
Evans
Schmidt
is in the
and
middle.
Ron Evans.
Jack Schmidt there. Boy,
John
what
Young.
a cool picture that is.
Yeah.
Look at the scorched of that man going into the reentry like that. Yeah, it all ended today, 52 years ago. Mitch, nobody's been back since.
Yeah.
Every administration says we're going back or going to do something, and it has yet to happen. We thought Constellation might get us there. Now we're hoping Artemis gets us there. What do you think about all that?
Well, it's
Going back to the moon, in other words.
Well, I don't know if it's going to happen I'm not seeing us. All the news is pushing it back farther and further. Somebody's going to get there. They may not be American.
China says they'll be there by 2030.
Well, so their program is much farther along perhaps than a lot of people realize. I
Right.
mean,
Oh,
don't they have a manned space station of their own right now?
yeah, we've
Yeah.
got three people on it we're going to talk about here in
Yeah,
a second.
but they've had, what do they call their astronauts? I can't remember.
Takionauts.
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 So they have some very experienced, multi-flown Takionauts that are part of their
Yeah.
program. So it's a serious, I don't know
Well,
what's going to happen.
And they
It's,
don't have the politics we do that can control the program or shut it down because I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, I'm a whatever.
well, as
Uh,
somebody pointed out to me, and it may have been you, because I was having a discussion about, well, what's the fate of Artemis now with the new administration coming in, and as somebody pointed out to me, that the new administration is why there is an Artemis, right? So it's not likely they're going to get rid of
yeah,
it.
that was
Are they
Trump's
going to
first
make
term was
right?
when it was proposed.
Right.
But
So are they going to make the full commitment? How does Elon Musk's presence factor into what the future holds
well,
and
here's
how
what
we
we
get
do
back
know.
to the
Here's
moon?
what we do know, Mitch. Being close to the bone here on the Space Coast, we drive by the Blue Origin billion-dollar factory across from Kennedy Space Center. Very frequently, I drive by it. They are building now a new building, and Marty, you may have noticed it there, another taller building going up. That's where they're going to build the Blue Moon lander. So Blue Origin's going to build their own moon lander, okay? And they've got the rocket, New Glenn, that we're waiting to see launched
Yeah,
to put on that rocket.
it's out there now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on the pad right
Yeah.
now. So we know this is going to happen. We're not sure that there's going to be a Christmas tree greeting them up there on space, like here. But no, part of the news now is when are they going to launch? Right now on pad 36, go out to the beach tonight or tomorrow, and you can see it lit up there as
So
plain-
you could see it from Spaceview Park.
no,
No, okay,
no, it's actually to the far right and behind.
okay.
Right, Marty? It's hard to see. You can't see it from Spaceview Park. It's too far away. But plus, it's on the tip of the. This is where the lighthouse is, so it's out
Oh,
the
I
tip.
see. Okay, way
You
out
go
there.
out to the beaches,
Yeah.
Cape Canaveral or Cocoa Beach, you'll
Okay.
see it there. So we were thought it would launch by as early as the 17th, but they're saying by the end of the year. So and Blue Origin is doing their own thing. We know SpaceX has got their own thing going. They're not going to be stoppable. All right. So I think the government needs to partner our Artemis with them together and go as a trio, so to speak. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's discouraging the news that you hear how they're constantly pushing things back and canceling things.
Let's talk about a couple little news things going on here, and take another 15
On the
minutes of
subject
your
of pushing
time here.
things.
10 humans orbiting the Earth right now this Christmas week, and 622 have orbited the Earth. 80 are women. Marty breaks out the suborbitals, calls them karmanauts. All right, you're going to have hundreds of them down the line. I think right now there's over 40 that have been suborbital, either under Blue Origin or Virgin Galactic on there. But the big news that we got 3 Takionauts, including one woman, her first space flight. The guy in the middle is very experienced. This is his 3rd space flight.
Okay.
Okay. Tangong's their heavenly palace. Then we got 7 on the International Space Station, including in the news today was Butch and Sonny. You've got, we got 4 Americans and 3 Russians up there. And the Crew Dragon 9 was taken up there with a Russian and Nick Hague to bring back, have 2 empty seats for Sonny and Butch. But they say they're not coming back. I'm going to skip that a minute. They say they're not coming back until March, maybe April. All right. And I rolled the numbers a little bit there. And that means they're coming back about 280 days.
From what was it? A
If
10-day
when they come
mission?
back, and if it's April 1st, They will be up there 280 days, Marty. I think it's 88 days actually, on an 8-day tour. You
Right,
get
right.
280
8 days.
days out of it. So they're going to be up there at least another 90 days. And they were launched June 5th. Okay, right now they've been up there 197 days. And this will give Sonny right at about 600 days of space, and Butch at about 400.
I'll bet it's a
80.
record they don't want to have to, right?
Yeah, you just wonder what about the psychology going on there of like, well, Butch is married and has two daughters that I think are young 20s. And Sonny is married to a ranger in Texas. And
At this rate,
they
neither
don't,
one
they
of
don't,
them. At this rate, neither one of them will be here for Shuttle Fest.
yeah, no, they're not going to make it to Shuttle. Maybe they can get there time for Shuttle Fest. We hope they get them back by Shuttle
You're
Fest.
right.
But it looks like it's going to be close. That'd be a good bet there. So they're safe and everything, but they pushed it back for some reason because Crew 10 that's going up. They want them up there for a week or so before they bring back the four, the two from Crew 9, and then these two. So what do you think about that? What do your readers think
It's
about
like
this?
Borman and Lovell on steroids, right?
Yeah.
So it's not something we discuss a lot because it's more of the new stuff, right? But so I will tell you though, they make the inevitable comparisons. I did a post the other day about a delay because there was a leak on something. I don't remember what it was. It was an Apollo launch vehicle. Right now in 1968, they get, Apollo 8's coming up, right?
Right.
So Apollo 17 happened in December. And so there was some delay in one of the launches. I can't remember which. And some guy posted, yes. So it was a 4-day delay for Apollo, would be a 4-year delay now. So there's sort of that sentiment out there, the idea that, they could get it right then. Why can't they get it right now? Is the way I read that. That doesn't seem terribly complimentary to me to say, they could do it in 4 days. Then now it'll be 4 years. So that's the sentiment. But it's amazing that again, what I think about is that they can be there, right? I mean, they can be in space this long, and have the facility to be perfectly safe. So it says something about the technology, how it's come along in right, what, 60 years, 70 years.
Yeah, but still an unexpected twist of fate there, and it crescendos though. One thing goes wrong, then it backlogs other things and affects other crews and other operations
Yeah,
on the
I think
International Space Station.
I think there's a lot of skepticism about the future of going to the moon.
Well, we've enjoyed talking to Mitch here. I'm going to kind of breeze through some of the pictures of history. Will repeat itself. 1968, Christmas Eve. Here's a couple kiddos watching the live transmission of Apollo 8 orbiting the moon. They didn't land, but what a bold decision that was. Look at that TV there.
I love it.
Wow, it's got a handle on it. That's your portable iPhone right there.
Yeah, look how close the kid is to the
Yeah,
TV,
right. And I remember that very well as a teenager. And that transmission, that was amazing. The first Christmas in space spent by these guys that we were just talking about, the crew of the third Apollo crewed, Skylab crewed up there. And what did they make that tree out of?
So they had, I know they used old cans from the food that, because they had canned food on the mission. And so they saved a lot of their sort of debris and used, that's how they got that. It looks like sort of branches.
Yeah.
They used cans to do that.
Those are
I remember
cans. Think of the can you feed your cat out of, or dog.
Yeah, so you're right. They were little cans like
Yeah,
that, and
yeah.
so they used a lot of cans. They used something else, and I frankly don't remember what it was because that's a pretty big tree.
Yeah,
and that would have been a lot of cans.
there's a lot of stuff up there.
Yeah.
So NASA does celebrate Christmas with beautiful cards and so forth, as well as the other holidays. Of a little flavor of Christmas on the International Space Station, where you can see the reindeer take off. And when you're hooking into your NORAD to see where Santa is, he always makes a sweep by the International Space Station.
Waves
It's
as he-
actually got a Crew Dragon up there, see? Up there. Here's what astronauts do we recognize there? There's Canadian
Chris Hadfield.
Chris Hadfield. What a Facebook monster he is.
Yeah, yeah.
He
Yes, he
posts
is.
something every day.
Isn't that Bob Cabana on the left?
No, Bob was never on the space station.
Oh, that's Space Station. Okay.
Yeah, that's space station.
You can see.
Shirley Newman. Mitch, could you take some pictures of the rocket launch pad tonight?
I don't
if
think
you-
I can.
If you get out over to the beach,
I'll
you
be over.
certainly
I may be
will.
over there tomorrow.
Like Steve
if I can get
Jokins,
over
who's
there, I
been
will.
to Cocoa Beach Pier, you can see it plain as day there. There's our, Marty chose our green screen to celebrate Hanukkah. And there's your elf on the shelf,
Yeah.
Peggy Whitson. And we're going to look at some artwork there. Aliens enjoying Santa and so forth at a spaceport. Think of your favorite science fiction TV show like Babylon 5 and or one of the Star Trek, Voyager or something like that. Yep, even aliens
I love
enjoy Christmas there, Mitch. That's an old school card, though. Don Mackey was a NASA artist in the 60s and 70s. He did all kinds of artwork that are really cool that we love to celebrate and post on Facebook and have shared over the years. Marty, this is our, is this our 5th Christmas doing this? I guess it'd be our 4th, yeah, 4th anniversary of this. But Don did sketches like this for NASA, all right? Peeled back the covers, so to speak,
Wow.
on the VAB to give you an idea.
Very cool.
Very talented illustrator for NASA. He also, I don't know if you've ever seen this or
The
not.
pencil sketch.
There's one that got all water damage that I wanted to throw out, and I hate to throw anything away,
Yeah.
but he did these type of pencil sketches, and there were close-up pictures of each of the astronauts. That's one of Don's
That I've
moon
seen that.
landing. But you know what I don't like about that?
The jagged mountain peaks.
The jagged mountains, exactly. A lot of the people in the 60s, before we went there, made the mountains of the moon very
It looks
jagged.
cooler that way, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, instead of being pounded by micrometeorites, which is dust motes, for millions and millions of years that beat them down like a soft-looking snowfall, actually, on there. As Marty hands me all you good people watching today, including Shirley Newman and your wife Paula Rothman and Cliff Watson. There's Carlton Bailey. Squeebles. All right, we like saying that, Squeebles. There's another one of Don McKay's beautiful renderings that was on a Christmas card, of course. He's always got this kind of rocket in the background there.
I love this stuff.
Here's one of his favorite ones. Of course, spending 35 years in Tennessee, that looks like the checkerboard at Neyland Stadium for the
Oh, yeah,
where the
sure.
University of Tennessee
course.
play football,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah, of course.
And I tried to find out if he had a UT connection there, but he didn't.
Look, even the vehicle behind him there has over your shoulder. It's got the
Yeah.
same. Oh, I guess that's the same. It's
But he's
okay.
always got these little aliens, okay, these little Martians with Santa on there, all right?
I love it. Missile Land from Missile Land.
From Missile
Florida.
Land, Florida. And that's what we are, Missile Land, Florida. Those noisy Falcon 9 rockets waking us up all the time. But there's a very elaborate one. They're like building a still on the left-hand side there to fuel this,
Oh, yeah.
this rocket there. There's so much going on here. We just love these, to look at these and so forth. So thanks for being here, Mitch. I got a couple other ones to show here, but we went through that pretty quick. Marty, your question and what is the answer? Is it 200,000 gallons, 300,000 gallons?
Well,
What?
Dean Babcock said 200,000, and I'm throwing blank. Steve Holcomb said 300,000, and Steve is correct again. Good job, Steve. 300,000.
Our Ken Jennings of that's all right. Our Ken Jennings of Jeopardy, Steve Jokums. He is a smart cookie, and He had a career at Underwriters Labs.
Oh, okay.
Not exactly sure what he
Yeah.
did. Well, as I get to know him, I find out more. So I know that's got to be a very detail-oriented job. And a great guy that I've pleasure to call my friend. And hope you and your wife Pat have a great family Christmas there, Steve. Up there, we'll be keeping you warm down here in Florida. He's up in the Lake Michigan
Okay.
shores up
cold.
there west of Chicago. So glad everybody watched today. Dean Babcock appreciates what we put into these shows. I do take it pretty seriously every day because one, I don't want to look stupid and look like a fool, and another, I know that you all enjoy this. And Marty and I have done about 1,190 shows.
That's amazing.
And maybe when we hit 1,500, we'll be an overnight sensation, Marty. But saw this cruising around. We were looking at a Facebook page. What were we looking at that this popped up on? Santa Claus. Oh my God, he's looking at star charts, how to navigate
yeah,
his way around.
the sci-fi magazine.
Yeah, from 1956, Galaxy magazine there. And that would probably make a good Christmas wrapping
Yeah.
on there.
Or a shirt.
Or a good shirt there, yeah. Not sure what that was, so I'm going to claim that under the fair use copyright laws.
That's what your lawyer told you.
That's what my lawyer told me to do, exactly. We want to wish everybody a season's greetings. Hope that you can join me tomorrow when I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Star of Bethlehem. Was it real? What it could have been? What could it not have been? The most famous star in the sky, something I enjoy sharing with in a non-religious show here, as we know that Jesus was a real person and born and did great things in his life. And it's the reason for the season and the reason why other religions celebrate around it. It's just a great idea of the fellowship and harmony that people have, just like the fellowship we had with Mitch Rothman today. So, Mitch, thanks a lot, buddy, for spending your time with us here at the American Space Museum.
My pleasure.
If you don't bring Paula with you the next time, I'm not going to let you on the show.
All right, she heard
All
that.
right.
She heard that.
She's got to come up here. I understand you guys.
She sent me with cookies.
Oh, she did.
I got to get to the cookies. Yeah.
All right. There's the boss there, head volunteer, Connie McDaniel, saying, cut the show off. We're ready to eat for our little party here. Marty, thank you for a great job there, Marty. And until tomorrow, when we talk about the Star of Bethlehem, I'm Mark Marquette saying I can't wait to see you in our museum. And let's throw Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and have a great year ahead. All right. As we do what? Bridge
the space between us.
Thank you, buddy. I love my mug, my cocktail glass there.